Quiet, children. The great elven realm is no more. Long ago, a magical catastrophe blasted its tall trees and slew most of its inhabitants. Elves now call it the Passing Kingdom. But near burned trunks and under twisted roots, explorers found fiery gems that absorbed some of the devastating magic. Adventurers probed the ruins seeking the valuable ember gems. My grandfather, Felix Lorenz, and his best friend Galando de la Espiga were some of those adventurers. And yes, I will also be talking about my grandfather's pet, Tempest. Esquires Felix Lorenz and Galando de la Espiga returned from war as army officers. The kingdom had barely pushed the ogre clans back into the Badlands at great cost. Now the two were destitute, their estates nearly ruined and their families in debt. Meeting in a pub, they decided to join forces and take up the quest of ember gems. In a kingdom without a king, the people lived on meagre scraps with little hope that their children would fare better. Many years before, the aged king took his most loyal companions on a quest. He disappeared, never to be heard from again, but treasure mysteriously arrived from time to time and was put to use improving the lives of the people. Following his example, able-bodied young nobles took up arms and armour, becoming knights. They quested for treasure to send back to the kingdom. Then rumours spread of vast wealth lying in the ruins of Redhollow. The Knights Serene gathered their companions and ventured forth on the quest of ember gems. The Oath of the Knights Serene. For you who hunger, I cannot make bread. For those with a heavy load, my toil is not enough. For the weeping, my words fail. But my honour and my sword arm are strong. So I will venture into the wilds, battle monsters and villains, and send their treasures back to you till the king is found. Felix Lorenz was a fighter who was hard as nails. Taller and broader than most men, he specialised in striking down enemies with a sword. In one adventure, he killed 2 ogres, gaining the sobriquet Ogrebane. But it was later, when he slew a mighty terrorwing with one stroke, that he became the one they called Demonbane. Some of Felix's squires were Dankworth, the bumbling; Rook, the quiet and laconic archer; Sirius, the studious but reckless conjurer; and Brother Marcel, the mad doctor. He never ventured anywhere without his firehound Tempest, who was quite small at the time. Galando de la Espiga was the eldest son of a high noble house from the Costa del Viento region of the kingdom. His father, Borja, disappeared on an expedition to find the lost king. After the war, with his father gone, young Galando lost all the house's wealth through frivolous gambling and poor investments. This ended with his mother's sickness and early passing. Galando felt she died of shame. Following her death, Galando dedicated his life to rebuilding his noble house and seeking exoneration for his past errors. Galando was a knight and something of a spellcaster. Some of Galando's squires were Valentin, a man-at-arms, Isabella, an archer, and his hound Alfonso. Now it is time to listen to the words of my grandfather's scribe as he illuminates the adventures of these knights.
While my lord, Felix Lorenz, boasts many fine qualities, an abundance of courage, honour, loyalty, through no fault of his own, subtlety is not counted among them. When you tower above others and have the well-earned sobriquet Ogrebane, keeping a low profile in a place as rancid as Lungerford is problematic. Likewise, his noble companion, Sir Galando de Espiga, stood out like the proverbial sore thumb, though it was difficult to tell which drew the most attention, his fine armour or his magnificent moustache. It started well enough. Sir Felix and Sir Galando had us quietly scouring the village for news and rumours of the location of the fabled Ghost Library. said to contain vital secrets of Redhollow and even knowledge of the Ember Gems themselves. It seemed every shifty fellow in the reeking taverns knew where to find the lost library and had a map to sell. But one disreputable dwarf haggled so hard over a filthy scrap of vellum, his sheer reluctance to part with it convinced my master it must have some value. Even in the smoky darkness of a tavern corner, their hissed exchanges did not go unnoticed. A big fellow in armor, urgent whispered bargaining, the clink of exchanged coin, greedy eyes in the shadows noted it all. We left before dawn to steal a march on any pursuers, though my lord suspected any who meant us ill may already have gone ahead to lurk in ambush. Despite this, spirits were high. Even if the map did not reveal the ghost library, we hoped the building it promised to lead us to would contain clues to aid our quest. The path took us to the edge of the forest. Normal trees and undergrowth began to give way to twisted thickets of corpseworts that stink like a week-old body, and carpets of carnivorous panopticons whose unnerving eyeball-like blooms track movement in the same way a more wholesome flower turns its face to the sun. Rook, scouting ahead, raised a hand to halt us. Seconds later, a volley of arrows erupted from the surrounding undergrowth, followed by guttural war cries as the bandits sprang their ambush. Wasting no time, Galindo targeted 2 bandits hiding behind a log with an enhanced power fireball. One was killed outright, and the other took considerable damage from the scorching blast. Then Galindo advanced towards some trees with Valentin. Felix boldly advanced at the double, out in the open, with Tempest at his side. The bandit archer moved to get a clear shot at Rook, but the arrow went wide. The wounded bandit cowered behind the log, swatting his clothes to put out any lingering flames. The other bandits advanced, hoping to quickly dispatch these fools and loot their corpses. Isabella and Rook both shot and missed. Dankworth advanced behind his captain. At the end of the turn, a new bandit who was trailing the party arrived from behind the archers, Rook and Isabella. As a group, Galindo, Valentin and Alfonso charged the bandit amongst the trees. With his hound's help, Galindo inflicted a hard hit on the bandit, but Valentin's attack failed and he suffered a nasty wound. In the face or shoulder, Galindo couldn't tell. Felix attacked along with Tempest, but his strike backfired. It looked like he was going to get seriously hurt, but he rolled with the punch at the last second. The new bandit launched herself at Isabella, who had stayed behind, causing serious damage to the minimally armored archer. The bandit archer nicked Rook with an arrow, but the elf's attention was nearer at hand. Unfortunately, the bandit captain joined the melee with Galindo. The bandit next to Galindo had no honor and attacked the hound Alfonso, knocking him unconscious. Similarly, a bandit attacked Tempest, but lost, only his armor protecting him. Isabella fought back against the bandit who had trailed them, but the axe bit deep, dropping Isabella. Rook took aim at the bandit standing over Isabella's body, but missed. At the end of the turn, Dankworth's foot got caught in the tangled undergrowth, but fortunately he kept his balance and avoided injury. Reacting against the scurrilous blackguard who had hurt his men and his hound, Galindo thrust his blade through the cur. Valentin barely won in a clash of blades with the bandit leader, but his sword bounced harmlessly off armor. With a frenzied attack, Felix broke a bandit's sword and smashed him to the ground. Thanks to the presence of his captain and the snapping firehound, Dankworth struck another foe a nearly fatal blow. The trailing bandit who took down Isabella looked to gain a name for herself, perhaps Archer Slayer, and charged Rook, but lost and got pushed back. The large and hairy bandit captain battered Valentin and knocked him down, despite Galindo's support. On the other side of the field, one bandit stood against 3. Swinging against the snarling, snapping firehound Tempest, his confused attack only resulted in almost losing a leg to the beast. Rook whipped an arrow out of his quiver and put it through the bandit's eye, killing her outright. At the end of the turn, perhaps sensing the disturbance on the surface or smelling blood, a giant tunneling spider sprang forth at Felix. Galindo began a duel with the black-hearted bandit captain. Although Galindo lost the initial exchange, he took the blow on his shield. Felix fared less well. His flashing blade was too wide, allowing the brigand to bash him, nothing he couldn't take, but his second was on target, leaving the brigand close to death. Fortunately, Dankworth finished off the injured bandit. The bandit archer, free to pick targets, hit Rook with a well-placed shot. Rook was down. This did not sit well with my Lord Felix, who dispatched the spider. At the end of the turn, 2 more bandits arrived near the hall. "Get lost, did you toe rags? Get stuck in or I'll poleaxe you!" barked the bandit captain. But the beastly bandit captain was himself tied up. He continued to duel with Galindo, to a stalemate again. Felix and Tempest rushed to engage the remaining archer, while Dankworth noticed a small chest covered in moss underneath a plant with enormous leaves. Back and forth went the fight between Galindo and the bandit captain, neither able to find an opening. The archer stabbed his dagger at the incoming Felix, but caught a length of steel himself. Felix meant to end him. The late bandits advanced into the field. At the end of the turn, Tempest unfortunately stepped into a patch of panopticons. The carnivorous plant's grasping tendrils immediately entangled his limbs. The firehound failed to escape and was overcome. Still, the duel went on. Neither Galindo nor the bandit captain could score a hit. Felix got overconfident, allowing the archer to drive his dagger in deep. Dankworth arrived though, and bashed the archer on the head with his axe. The late bandits moved quickly towards Felix. The bandit captain tired of the never-ending duel with Galindo. Perhaps fearful at the dwindling number of his company, he tried a risky move, but was met by the cold steel of Galindo's sword through his heart. At the end of the turn, one of the frequent clouds of mist, which rise without warning from the ground in Redhollow, billowed across the clearing. Since there were no archers left standing, the shortened visibility had no effect. Galindo found what looked like coins or gems, but turned out to be hard orange resin drops. He didn't recognize the mysterious resin drops as valuable and discarded them. Felix got the better of a bandit, seriously injuring him and shoving him back. With Felix's help, Dankworth broke through the other bandit's defenses, nearly killing him. That same bandit saw Felix's bleeding wounds and thought it might be weakness, but was soon face down and going cold. The last bandit futilely attacked Dankworth, but the squire's brute strength carried the day. At the end of the turn, exploring the clearing, Galindo didn't recognize a thicket of corpsewood. The stinking stench is often overpowering, but thanks to Galindo's inner strength, he resisted it. With no enemies still standing, the company got up their wounded and explored the clearing. Galindo searched some dense bushes, but failed to find anything. It was a carefully constructed hide. Concealed within was the disreputable dwarf who sold the party the map, hiding to gleefully watch the results of the ambush and join in the looting of the party's bodies. Since he wasn't detected, he slipped away once the heroes were gone. Felix found a parchment, but failed to translate it, discarding it as rubbish. Dankworth had better luck, and found a potion of slowfall. At the end of the turn, a friendly scout arrived to offer help, but left as he realized he's too late. Investigating all possibilities, Galindo checked out a fallen hollow log. Inside, he saw a tiny green figure hiding. It put its finger to its lips, the universal sign to be quiet. Unfortunately, Galindo informed Felix, so the gnome cursed Galindo and disappeared. The party entered the courtly hall. Concealed by a curtain of hanging moss and vines were the ruins of a building invisible from the path. This must be the building on the dwarf's map. The party discovered a small cairn of piled stones. Moving them, they found a torn-out page from an old book. The faded script was a journal from one of the companions of the missing king. It revealed he too was searching for the ghost library, and hinted its location might be in the burned zone of the forest. The hound Alfonso was fine, eager to go again. Tempest, on the other hand, also recovered, but was surly and refused to go on the next trip into the forest. Isabella, though a little shaken, was steadied by her fierce loyalty to Galindo. Rook shrugged off his injuries, using elvish medicine to fully recover. Valentin suffered a broken jaw that will never quite heal properly. he will always have some difficulty with speaking. He was known for his wild gesticulation and foul mouth, but thanks to his newly smashed jaw, most people don't realize what he's saying. Dankworth had found a single-use fireball orb, which he was sure he couldn't use properly, so he gave it to Galindo.
The courtly hall is where our hero's adventure brought them so far, but now it's time to go. We'll continue to tell the story of Lords Felix and Galindo next time as they find what the vines may hide. Thank you, goodbye, and come back soon for more Tales of Redhollow.